Well, hello there, YouTube. So once again, here we are passing by my my wife's girlfriend's place. We're gonna pull in this time because I see her sitting there. I caught you outside this time. So how's the pottery business going? Oh, I didn't think about that. That's probably could be a little, you might have people driving by a little concerned. Is there a horse trapped in a barn there and it's burning? Yeah. Yeah, just goofing around with my little Kima road. I seen you coming down the road and seen you standing there.
Oh, well, I saw a bike coming, but for some reason I thought it had a bigger fairing. I wasn't quite sure if that was.
Oh, that was just me.
Yeah.
No, I mean me. Big.
Big. No, I was thinking it had like a big, like, you know, those better fairing.
Yeah, at a distance, it probably looks like something huge coming down the road. What do you think of that? Why don't you wash that thing? Can't even tell what color it is anymore.
You gotta talk to your wife about these things.
I know. I try to. She just don't listen though.
They never listen.
Well, I'm gonna continue tooling about. I just thought I'd come in and say hey.
We're just waiting for pottery to cool down.
Ah. That sure does look cool when you guys are done with it. Yeah. Oh. Cool. I'm off and running. Just goofing around. Soaking up all the sunshine I can. Trying out my little... Yeah, that's not fair. Got Rainier right there and St. Helens sitting right there.
That ain't fair.
I'd be all kinds of taking pictures of that. See ya. Look at that Rainier sitting right there across their field. How's my wife and her friend Darla? You know, now they mention I do kind of smell like something burning there. So, the point of this video, I tell you guys about not planning stuff, but actually planning a little something today. In my last iron video, I don't know what I put up in between, I think some spider stuff, I tell you to keep your foot off the rear brake. Well, with some emails and comments and whatnot I've got, no, mostly emails, and a little teasing from guys at work. Look, Smoak, I'm not touching the rear brake. I thought, I need to explain this a little bit more. I don't literally not use my rear brake as if I could take the pedal off and not miss it kind of a thing. So, let's explain a little something here. Just some basics. Just some simple stuff. Oh my god, I've already been recording. Wow, I've only been recording 4 minutes. Very interesting. So, on a motorcycle, and all motorcycles, even your car does this. But motorcycles, let me explain why there's so much power on the front brake. When you slam on the brakes or just apply the brakes, there's a weight transfer. You'll notice that the front end dives, the rear end lifts. It's very obvious on this. One of the reasons I wanted to try on this, I doubt I'll be able to, I should have been smart and taken a tripod and set it out here and shown you. I didn't think this out very well, did I? But anyway, the weight transfers, and most of the weight of the bike will transfer on the front wheel. At the same time that's happening, it's taking weight off the rear wheel. And for any of you doubters, if you don't think I use the rear brake, look at the scoring of the rear disc on this thing. I don't know if you can tell that through the camera. So that's why I feel I need to explain this. I definitely use my rear brake. I do not use the rear brake for any kind of panic or high speed stopping. The faster you go, the less relevant that rear brake is, and the less useful it is. If any of you guys watch, World Superbike, MotoGP, any kind of road racing, you'll notice a lot of times, of course electronics are kicking in and that's not as obvious anymore, you'll see them coming into turns with the back wheel literally off the ground. That's because all the weight has transferred to the front. And so like on this gravel road, just to show you how this all works here, people inherently, it's some old school thing. Maybe it's when your kid is a bicycle or something, on a bicycle or something, but people think if you apply the front brakes on gravel, you're going to crash. You're not going to crash. It's brake control. If you just, willy-nilly grab a whole handful of front brake, I don't care, road, ice, gravel, it doesn't matter. You're going to wash the front end out. Especially if you're not tuned in enough to your bike to know to let the hell go. You should never lock the front wheel up, because it once you do lock it up, it takes a little bit, there's inertia of that wheel that has to gain momentum once again. So even though you let go of the brake immediately, like in ice, you're done. You're just going to go down. If you get into some diesel or something slippery on the road, the same thing. By the time the wheel gets rolling again, you're already on the ground. But anyway, don't be afraid of front brakes in gravel or whatever. Applying hard braking in a turn with gravel, those are just things. You don't need to be going fast in places that you don't know anyway. You should know there's gravel there, or stay within a speed as you're entering a turn going, I don't know what this road's like. There could be crap on the road. Don't go hauling ass into something you're not familiar with. That's why I tell you, if you really want to go fast, join one of the clubs and go race around the track. Go to a track day or something. Learn all this stuff. So, with no rear brake whatsoever, and it's very slippery gravel, I'm going to show you how quick I can stop. So you could hear it scratching, but I wasn't locked up. Now watch when I lock up, it just, it'll pitch off. So you need to have enough control that you can stop. Just get the feel of it. I'm not telling you to go out and practice on a gravel road. Well, I locked up at the end there, but you get my drift. The weight's transferring forward, and it's putting more traction on that front wheel. Hey, you know what? Even the reflection might show the spokes to show you I'm not locking up. See what I mean? Now, let's try one other thing. Let me try to turn while I'm applying the brakes. We'll just take this turn right here and do it. So I'm not going to use any front brakes. I'll just use the rear. And I'm going to try to make this turn. Bike wants to go straight. Once you lock that back wheel up, the back wheel just goes straight. Momentum's going to keep you going straight. I've seen that so many times. It just amazes me. The people that have been riding for years, and a panic situation happens, and the first thing they do is lock the back wheel up. And wonder, why they have no control of the bike. I couldn't stop. I just hit that car. Now here's the same thing with just the front. Now, the danger of this is trying to use too much front brake in a turn, because you can put your ass out. But here's both brakes in a turn. And that wasn't even a hard stop at all. You can stop really quick in gravel. But I do always touch the rear brake. One of the magical things about rear brakes is slow speed riding, maneuvering about. Now I'm just going to take a turn here without touching anything. Just some tight turns, which this is probably not a fair bike to show it on because you can do it anyway. But if you apply a little rear brake and slip your clutch a little bit, you'd be surprised the balance you have without any feet on the ground. You use a little back brake scrub and a little clutching, it works fantastic. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know what's back there. I was thinking about that when I was going around with my iron. I want to shoot around that tree, or maybe it was this one. See, there's a little bit of front and rear. So anyway, don't not use your rear brake. Just never stomp that rear brake in a panic stop. Look at them horses running. That is so beautiful. Can you see them running out there? Damn Super View's not showing that at all, I would imagine. They're just galloping about, just having a good old time, them old hee-haws. So, braking, front, rear, at all, it's control. Learn where you're, if you go out and practice this, for a love of all that's holy in the world, do not try this at high speeds. Because if you lock up that front wheel at high speeds, practicing, you could have yourself in serious trouble. But find some gravel-free parking lot and just go back and forth, and just get a little stiffer, more and more, and watch how much control you have with that front brake. And like I say, using the rear brake for control back in the old days, road racing, before any kind of traction control or anything like that was available. Something running down the road here. Is that just a bag? No, some big old bird, big old raven. But anyway, we used to use the rear brake for lack of better terms, traction control for road racing. You could, it allowed you to get on harder, at your apex, and dragging a little brake would, on certain turns at certain speeds and lean angles, whatever, where it would tend to wash the rear wheel out. You could scrub a little rear brake pedal going through there, and it would kind of, I guess the best way to explain it, would kind of tone down the power curve of the bike you were riding. That was really common. You look at road race bikes, you'll see that the rear brake is just incredibly small. But you'll also see that the rear brake has been well used, and you'll see no road race bike that has no rear brake on it. So there's proof that there's something there. But it's more of a control thing with the rear brake than anything else. And despite a rear brake can lock up quite easily and get you in trouble, using it in a panic stop, lightly using it, learning where that pressure point is, it does have a little scrub, on your speed. It does help knock things down a little bit. Super sport bikes, it's real common to have the back wheel off the ground really easy, or that the pressure on the rear wheel is so light that you easily lock the rear wheel up. So it also kind of depends on what bike you're riding too. Like say my Road King, you'd be surprised just how powerful the rear brake is. Even in a panic stop with the front end dove all the way, you add rear brake and it has a noticeable amount of additional stopping power. That's because the bike is so big and so heavy, the rear wheel is very well planted. But within just a a few minutes of riding a bike, you can tell, you know, just by the character of the bike, how much of pressure to apply or not apply. My old 83 Venture, I've never disabled it, but it has a linked braking system, and you can imagine 1983 how high-tech that was. I'll show you how high-tech it was. I mean, if you ever look at the systems they have out here now, it's amazing how the bias and stuff works between the two. My Venture, the rear brake pedal, when you stomp on it, it literally applies to the rear disc and the left front disc evenly. I'm sure there is some bias going on there. Obviously, there's got to be. I mean, without a doubt there is, but you have no control over it. You know, it's a preset setup. When you apply the front brake, it only applies. Oh my God, does that smell incredible? Man, if I could somehow another bottle up that smell and ship that off to you guys so they went, boop, you opened up the cap of that bottle and you got a whiff of that. Well, it's not hard to smell. I could just stick your nose in a little cedar chest and you don't know what it smells like. But getting back on subject, that old Venture, it is the only bike, and this is second or third one I've had. Well, technically it's the second, because the first one is my third one again. But in a panic stop, and this defies everything that your brain tells you, you have to literally boot stomp that rear brake pedal. Give it everything you've got, and the front brake. And then you modulate basically with the front brake, because the rear is not strong enough on a dry road. It's not strong enough to lock up the rear, and it's not strong enough to lock up the front. But when you boot stomp heavy on the rear and apply the front, you can get to a point you start to lock up the front. Oh my God. That old guy absolutely did not see me coming or hear me coming. See that? He was coming straight across. Which is why you walk against traffic and you ride with traffic. Simple old rules that still stand. Hey, they're going to fence up that property Kelly and I looked at once before. Excuse me. It's a big old house back there, kind of nestled in there in a weird way. So I hope that explains braking a little bit for the guys that are starting out, or like I say, I've been riding with guys that's been riding longer than I've been alive and have no clue, absolutely no clue how to stop a motorcycle. Really, really frightening. So let me touch briefly on an old technology that pretty much doesn't exist anymore. I've only got bugs on here. Is anti-dive systems. See how the front end dives? In the 80s, everybody in those early 80s when this started, Honda and everybody decided that anti-dive control for the front forks was a good thing. Have no earthly idea. What on earth? You know, if you like the professional racers, they'll do fork mods and stuff to change how the front end dives, but it's a suspension change to control weight transfer to the front wheel, because there's a certain feel. Every rider's got their own feeling of how much weight is on the front wheel. So changing some things can affect that weight transfer to the front wheel in braking. So the Japanese decided they wanted to, for lack of better terms, essentially eliminate front end dive, because that's what a lot of them did. And And as far as I know, the two worst systems absolutely ever were the Yamaha and the Suzuki systems, because they would just lock the fork up, and you go over, if you were braking over shutter bumps, you would literally hear your front tire going across these bumps. Crazy as hell. The Yamaha system was the easiest to disarm because it was basically, well, they updated to where it was electronic later. But initially, like on my Venture, it's just a hose. It takes brake pressure and controls that anti-dive system that's built in the bottom of the fork. The Honda A-Track system was by far the best. In fact, I never did anything to try to eliminate it on my road race bikes. My Interceptors and my 1100F had it. The 1100F had it on both forks, and I just set it to the softest setting. But however the Honda system worked, it would realize, shutter bumps or whatever, and would kind of, for lack of better terms, let go. And it was almost not even noticeable being on there. You put it on the softest setting, and you're like, it really does have anti-dive? Didn't seem like it did. You never noticed it. So that's probably why I say it works best, because maybe it didn't work at all, which was a good thing. But yeah, that diving of the front end in panic stops, like if I stab at this thing, how it drops real quick, that just takes practice to learn not to just grab a handful of brake. Let's just do a stop here. Let's see how fast we can stop this thing. How about that? We got a stoppie out of this old DR. If anybody was watching that, they're probably wondering what the hell. But yeah, you can stop quick, and you can clearly feel all the weight transfer forward, and just weighting that front wheel. The more it weights that front wheel, the more traction it's got, the harder you just start laying into it more. But your road conditions can greatly affect that also. I actually had that old front wheel barking a little bit. That was pretty cool. I don't know if that came across the audible there, but you could actually hear it skidding. And in the end, she picked the old rear up. Good old DR. And this is a whole single disc up there. It's nothing, not them great big old discs you see on these things now. So, but anyway, it's still old rubber lines. There's no steel braided lines or anything. So that's my explanation of brakes, and probably the most simplest of terms. I hope it was very simple. And I'll go back through and listen to what I said. If there's adjustments or something, I'll subtitle some stuff in there. But anyway, I hope I covered it in kind of a layman's term that it's easy to understand. If there's something you don't understand, by all means, ask. There's comments below down there, that little box, just right to your heart's content. Ooh, look at all the water down here. It's got like a great big pool down there. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. Holy moly, do you smell the cattle out of that barn? But that may be an old country hick or something. That is not an offensive smell to me at all. That reminds me of being home. That old international cab over. Hey, there's a guy on an old two-stroke, it looks like, with no rear fender. Oh, he had one on there. This light must have hit it in a way I didn't see it. But anyway, I've gone way over. I have like 24 minutes or something here. So if I use all of this, I'm sorry it's so long. Otherwise, it'll be chopped. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, by all means, plop a comment down there, like I say. So thanks for watching. talk to you boys and girls later. See you now. Bye-bye.